Hi, it's Wednesday afternoon and I'm here with Joe McVeigh and Deborah Healey. Would you like to tell us a bit more about yourselves?
Okay, I'm Deborah Healey. I am the president-elect of the TESOL International Association. I'm also a mostly online teacher at the University of Oregon. And I've been involved in the profession for way too long.
And I'm Joe McVeigh. I'm also from the U.S. I live and work in the state of Vermont in the Northeast, and I write materials and work with an accreditation scheme and do training workshops and consulting. Mm-hmm. And I'm also, along with Deborah, a member of the board of directors of TESOL, the TESOL International Association, IATEFL's sister association that is U.S.-based, but again, an international association.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And what's your history with IATEFL? Have you been here before? Have you been to previous
As it turned out, we were both at the Liverpool conference 5 years ago, and we realized that when we were comparing notes. Oh yeah, we were both there. Great fun. I really enjoy it because it's quite different from TESOL in a number of ways.
Yeah, so this is the second conference for both of us, but I should say that both Deborah and I early on earlier in our careers worked with the TESOL equivalent of IATEFL's SIGs, the special interest groups, and I've had a chance, I'm quite interested in how IATEFL SIGs work, and to see what kinds of things can we learn from the way that you do things, and perhaps we have some interesting things to share with you as well.
Oh, cool, right. And so it's Wednesday, we've had 2.5 days already. What if you had a standout moment from the last few days, what would you say that was? Well, when you go home, what would you tell people that you saw in the first couple of days?
Well, today's plenary by Dorothy Zemak was definitely a highlight. Lourdes Ortega's plenary the day before was also a beautiful mixture of research and practice. I really enjoyed that. And I have to say, I like the free ice cream cones and coffee in the exhibit hall. That is good, and I won't talk about the free champagne. So, something that I can never imagine TESOL ever doing.
Yeah. Well, I really enjoyed the PCE, the pre-conference event that was held jointly between the
The management SIG.
Learning Management SIG, LAM SIG, and the Teacher Development SIG. Yeah. That was quite wonderful because it was a chance it was an pretty much all-day event with about 100 people. And so there was a great opportunity to get to know some people in advance of the conference and to look at some issues in greater detail.
Yeah, and it also had really good free ice cream.
Excellent ice cream, yeah.
Yeah, okay. And you mentioned that TESOL and IATEFL are kind of sister associations. What's the history of the relationship between the two? I mean, do they actually work closely together, or are they quite distant? Or?
Well, we'd like to see closer relationships. About 4 years ago, the call intersection of TESOL got together with our good friends at the LT SIG at IATEFL and said, let's do something together. And we came up with an online day-long conference. So it was about 10 hours long that Heike kindly orchestrated for us electronically, and that had, I think, 4 or 5 people from IATEFL and 4 or 5 from TESOL that were involved. It was a really nice experience. There have been since additional webinars like that. And there was a joint conference with TESOL as a whole and IATEFL as a whole. But I would really like to see us doing more collaboration, because there's no point in duplicating when we could expand, because the needs are there. The desire for resources among English language teachers are there. And if we look at the estimated 13 million English language teachers around the world, the two organizations together do not come even close to touching that number, which means that we should be working together for the outreach that we need to do.
Are there any current plans on the table?
Well, one of the things that we did last year was the action agenda, which I have brought a small executive summary of. This came out of the Summit on the Future of the TESOL Profession, where you had the British Council, TESOL, the U.S. Department of State, IATEFL, and other ministries of education around the world involved in putting together a 2-day summit that really came up with what are the issues facing the field.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that I would really like to see all of the people who participated in that, all the organizations, trying to move the agenda forward.
Right, good. And Joe, how would you compare? Are they similar, the two associations? Are they quite different the way they do things, apart from the ice cream and the coffee?
Apart from the ice cream and the coffee. I think that our aims are very similar.
Mm-hmm.
There are some differences which are in part geographical.
Yeah.
So, for example, as many of the IATEFL events are based in the UK or within Europe, it's relatively easy to organize a face-to-face event to which interested parties can come together.
Yeah.
In the US, we've got a lot more territory to cover there.
Yeah.
And so a challenge for us is setting up face-to-face events, that are international, which may meet a particular need, but by design are very specific and have a relatively small number of people taking part. Mm-hmm. But as Deborah said, the needs of English language teachers around the world are enormous, and we just came from the annual general meeting where there was a strategic plan set out by IATEFL looking ahead to the future. And we've been working on a quite similar plan, and many of those items really, I think, line up very, very well together. So if we can find a way for more collaboration between the two associations, I think that would be good for everyone.
Yeah, it would, I'm sure we would all like to participate in that.
Yeah.
So,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
One final question. There's a day and a half to go. What are you most looking forward to in the next day and a half here in Brighton?
Well, I haven't really gotten out of the convention center and the hotel very much, so I think I want to explore Brighton a little bit.
Yeah.
I understand there are a lot of interesting pubs in the area and so on. In fact, I believe tonight there's a wonderful jazz band playing at the Mesmerist,
Right.
so I'm looking forward to that.
Okay, cool. And you, Deborah?
For me, there's going to be a talk on Plan CEBAL, which is something coming out of Uruguay, out of the One Laptop Per Child initiative there
Yes.
that Graham Stanley from IATEFL has been associated with as well. And I was involved with that very early on, so I'm looking forward to hearing what they're doing now.
Yeah. I hope to see you there.
Yeah.
I like that project very much
Yeah.
as well. Thank you for talking to me. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.